Welcome back to Heavy Muscle Radio Live. It's not. It's February 8th, 2021. And I'm Dave Palumbo here with Chris, the technician Aceto, John Romano, and I don't know who else. Who's joining us over there in the corner?
Dave, why?
And hold on, at least I got to go on this radio show. I'm going on a radio show. I'm going to talk to John Rambo, Chris Accentrio, and Dave Palumboism. Yeah, we're going to apologize. We're going to build the bridges at least. Hold on. I'm going on to talk to my friends from the old days. Hello, guys.
It's Joe Eater.
Hello. I even frosted my mustache how John likes it.
The hair is perfect, too.
I heard it.
No, he needs the
Everybody want to do a
He's got the hat.
Everybody want to apologize. So I'm coming on to talk to everyone. I've just been going through the MMA journals of myostatins. Fucking myostatins are going everywhere. Do you know when it comes to the immune system, John, your myostatins and mitochondrites are all connected to the tube. So much reading, John. This is why I haven't had time to apologize. Look at all this reading I've had to do.
That's a lot of work.
Keeping up on the virus.
Steve, which vaccine are you going to be using or taking or getting?
Not the Pfizer one, because I want to do the DNA. I want to do the DNA that gets into my conduits and goes through my arteries into the pulmonis pensionis veins. Because as you get older, you get pulmonis pensioner veins. Yes, they carry through my systems, and now I'm a vegan. It's meant to carry better. The veganism with the conduits going through my systems.
Isn't that very catabolic though? The veganism.
Dave, look at me. I got nothing to eat away. I got no muscle left. What sort of catabolism's going to happen?
I thought they called you Cro-Magnon back in the day in your wrestling days.
That's back in the day when I was a cannibal. I was a cannibalism back then. I used to enjoy eating men, but we won't talk about that.
What about the occlusion?
I got this. I include everyone, John.
No.
Genders in my gym.
Occlusion. Tourniquet training. The one you love.
Well, actually, I've been into that new one they do where they tie it off. You tie the muscle off and let the blood reconstrict. I take the Viagra from Pfizer. I do take that from Pfizer, and it gets a good pump on, and I restrict it. I put like this shoelace around the old diddy, and I tie it off.
I see it hanging around his neck right there.
It's good to see you, John and Dave and Chris. It's been a long time. It's like the gang's back together. I thought I'd come on and apologize for not paying my bills to John and throwing him under the bus. We had beautiful holidays together in Aspen when I used to rub his shoulders in the snow as we ran down the hills together. I'd sit behind John in the toboggan and off we'd go down the hill. Woo! Woo! They were good days. Used to get him tight to his glutes and go down the snow fields. Woo! Okay, woo, John, let's go again. Build me a snowman. Remember, John? Snow angels. Oh, it was good. Oh, we had some fun.
I heard you sold the house, Steve. Is that true in Aspen?
Yes. You know, no one's buying the magazine anymore, so you got bills to pay. No one's reading it. I got to keep that Ron Harris on board somehow.
Actually, we heard you got run out of there. You got run out of Aspen. Problems with the neighbors.
Yeah. I got caught with the Catholic priest. They're coming down hard on that shit lately.
No, you're Jewish though.
God loves all the children of the world. He doesn't matter if you're yellow, black, or white. Jesus loves you in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world.
John, I have to say, Steve looks a lot like Lee Priest today. I mean,
I had this frosted just for John. I watched the show. That's correct. I hear John talking about my frosted mustache.
back in the day. So I like how you're doing a retro piece here.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, John. There we go.
Yeah, that looks more like
Steve. Steve 2020. How you going?
Steve 2020.
You look like you get your teeth redone, Steve.
Yeah. That's all I've got to do with the myostatins. Myostatins bleach the teeth. Bleach the teeth.
They put
That's enough. That's enough of bloody Steve.
All right. I'm glad we got Lee back.
Your teeth back in.
That was a pretty good impression, too.
That was a good impression. I'm waiting for Sean. I'm waiting for Lee to do Sean Ray. Come on.
Yeah, can you do Sean Ray next week for us?
As long as you don't complain about blackface.
No, I don't care.
I don't find that blackface when you're doing the character and the character's black. No one complained about White Chicks, the movie.
But Sean's really not black, is he? I mean, you don't really have to
I know. And I'll have to go sit in a bath of cold water for a little while so I get up.
Shrinkage. You got shrinkage. Yeah. All right.
That's my Morton's steak jacket. I like to wear.
Yeah, it looks exactly like Morton's steak jacket.
I thought he's more. Isn't his? What was his favorite? Capital Grill. Ruth's Chris.
No, he likes
Paces. He likes
Pace. He likes Pace. Yeah. Well, that's in Long Island. In the city, he likes. I think he likes
the Meat Locker. What's that Meat Locker place? The Meat Locker district.
That's after. Before, but
that's his boxer. That's his boxer shorts. The Meat Locker. What's happening to my hair? Look at my hair.
Peter Luger's is where I think he likes.
Does he?
I don't know. It was Luger's or what was the one? Wolf's? Was it called?
Oh yeah, Luger's. Where Peter Luger's? Is that?
Yeah, Peter Luger under the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
Well, Peter Luger's. Yeah, there's a Peter Luger's though in Long Island too. That. The only thing I don't think it does. Okay, I guess he would get the bone and fillet there, right?
Yeah.
Bone
and fillet was his.
Oh no! They have the
just for me. It's not on the menu.
Yeah.
When
I don't think you would like it. They don't because they fry it in butter, don't they?
Let me call him over. I'll call him over for you. Come here. He wants the bone in the fillet. Yeah, like the one I've got, the big one. He's got lots of muscle. Lots of muscle.
Get Victor another steak.
Get him two. He's a big boy. He's going to need his energy tonight when I get back to the room. 302.
Victor would arrive. Victor Martinez would arrive with an entourage of 20 people. Like
it would be okay. Police would flip out.
Yeah.
Who are these people?
And she was right too. But Victor wouldn't care. He'd come with 20 people.
Yeah. John, what would like a big restaurant bill come to?
Oh, $2,000, 2,500. You know.
Oh, easy 20. Yeah, right.
Yeah. The wine alone was probably.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. I remember one of it was in the fours. I remember one of those. I think Vegas or Columbus. Where do we Kraft? You like to go Kraft Steakhouse?
Oh, Kraft Steakhouse
in Vegas. In Vegas, I think it was a $4,000. I think it was a $4,000.
The funny thing was that he was not cheap when it came to food, but other things he was very like chintzy on.
We went. A gang of us went to Megu in Manhattan in this Japanese place. It was like $400 to use the napkin. It was insane. I mean, they brought you these two or three little sushi like slices of meat on a rock, and it was like $150.
Wow.
Steve took me to Mangu in Manhattan, and they brought you lots of napkins there too. Just saying.
Talking about phenomenal sports, accomplishments. Is Dexter Jackson or Tom Brady better? Which one?
Dexter.
I don't know. Tom Brady winning the Super Bowl at how old is he?
But that's a team sport.
Dexter did 22 Olympias in a row. Won one of them. And everything else. So I don't think you can make a comparison.
Brady seven Super Bowl titles.
Yeah, but it's a team. It's a team. It's not one person.
Yeah, but if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't be in the Super Bowl. You know that.
If it wasn't
Or say if it wasn't for the other people. Yeah, exactly, Dave.
Team. No I in team.
Chris, who would better accomplish Dave's got or Tom Brady?
Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Because it is
Dexter.
a team. Because it is a team, meaning there's more variables to not win. You can't control all the variables. So the idea that he won 7 and appeared in 10 in 20 years, out of all the Super Bowls in 20 years, he's the guy leading the charge.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, to galvanize an entire team is totally different than, I think, getting yourself in unbelievable shape. Because you have, Dexter has the ability to control himself. Tom Brady has to control himself, he's in charge of the whole team, really. I
agree with that part of it. But when you dissect bodybuilding history sometime in the future, you're going to look back on Dexter's competitive career with as much awe and grandiosity as you are going to.
Listen, John. In terms of bodybuilding, what Dexter's, 22 Olympias, people who appear in like 3 Olympias, that's an accomplishment. To appear in 22 and be in the top 4 in most of those, is just unbelievable. And he only, I mean, he was dominant in many shows outside of the Olympia for those 22 years. He'd do a show.
He won like what, 6 Arnolds, I think it is.
6. Well, he won the big, the real Arnold, quote, the real Arnold in Ohio. How many times?
4 or 6, Dave.
I think 4 times.
Then that means Tom Brady would have to do 22 Super Bowls to be on par with Dexter then.
No, I think the reason is, look, if Dexter would have won 7 Olympias,
it doesn't matter. 5. He was there. It doesn't matter winning or not. You're there.
Well, how many Super Bowls was Brady in? Maybe won 7, but how many was he in?
I don't know.
10. Dave, he was in 10.
10. Okay.
But Dexter competed 8 times a year, though.
Well, Brady, how many games did he play a year?
Brady has millions and millions of dollars with chefs and this and that. He lived a good life. Dexter's struggle was real, being a bodybuilder coming up.
Every time Brady got on the field, people wanted to knock his head off, though, too. It
doesn't matter. They could play and stop, play and stop, play and stop. If we trained like they played a Super Bowl, a workout would take 10 hours. I'll do a set. I'll go sit on the sideline for 20 minutes. I'll come back, do a set. I'll go sit on the sideline for 20 minutes. Hey, halftime show. I'll go to McDonald's. I'll come back and finish off with extensions when it's over.
Hey, look at Janet Jackson's nipple. Yeah.
Dave asked, which, I'm from New England, so which was a worst management mistake? The Boston Red Sox getting rid of Babe Ruth to the New York Yankees, or the Patriots, Robert Kraft getting a hand job down in Florida, not being able to control Bill Belichick and allowing a trade, or not a trade, allowing themselves to lose Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're right.
How good nights of sleep is, Robert Kraft getting tonight?
Brady is loving giving him the old FU on that.
Well, what he signed for $50 million with how much?
Is that what they paid him?
I think he got 50 to come to
$50 million
Tampa Bay.
Wow. You know that he says, I forget what people were saying about him, but he said, hey, they were trying to compare who is better, him or someone else. And he said, I'm going to be competing for another 7-8 years. Oh, him or Peyton Manning or something like that because of the age. He's like, I'm going to be doing this another 7-8 years. That's crazy, right? To think he's going to go to 50.
Yeah, we got to get Jay to buy his old house outside of Boston.
Yeah, to be honest with you, the way I feel, I can't even imagine. Can you imagine getting on a football field and having guys try to kill you? At the age that you're at now.
For $50 million, I'd get on the $50 million. I'll get on the football field and have guys.
You'd get on the field, but would you be able to play with his skill level at that? It's crazy.
It doesn't matter for $50 million. It doesn't matter. Who cares?
I guess so.
Exactly.
That's like That's like when people say, "We get in the ring." Would you get in the ring with Mike Tyson for a couple of million? Sure, maybe 10 million, because I'd need 2 million for my medical bills, and then I could live on the other 8. I might be breathing through a tube, like I might be in a wheelchair like Steve Hawking's. The universe is a beautiful place. If we just look at the stars, we can stop this economy going downhill.
Lee, you're firing little rockets tonight.
It's Monday. What can I say?
Already?
All you guys who were eating junk food over the Super Bowl, I think we still have. I think I don't know. Maybe the sale's over. I don't know. We had a sale on SpeciesNutrition.com on Fiberlize and Omega-Lize to lower your cholesterol and your get all that crap out of your body. No pun intended. So,
did you remember?
Go ahead.
Oh, you're right. You remember that Super Bowl ad years ago when people got upset because remember how Christopher Reeve was always in the wheelchair and stuff, and they made a super ad where he came out and they're talking about technology moving so much faster, and it had him actually get up out the chair, because remember he had the tube he'd breathe and it would move the chair around.
Yeah.
That had him actually standing up and walking again due to all this technology, and all the comments were coming up. Oh, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? In 72, you made him fly. Now you can just make him fucking walk. Big deal.
Right. Yeah. It is true. Yeah. It was all an illusion. Exactly.
Yeah, that was terrible. Yeah. See, do all 3 of you watch sports regularly?
No time.
You're not football every Sunday? You're not that?
No, I can't. I don't have time. You have time to do that, John?
I don't watch any sports. So that's why when people say it's a Super Bowl, I go, it is? Who's playing?
I put the Super Bowl. I haven't watched a football game in 4 years, John. I put the Super Bowl on just because it was I couldn't even watch more than half of it because my son was going absolutely nuts. They did not want to any part of it.
I don't even think I have a channel that I could watch it on if I wanted to.
Yeah, I have DirecTV. I was looking. It took me 20 minutes to find the channel because in New York, it's like I know the New York channels. I don't know the Florida channels. I only have internet. I don't have any. Oh, you don't?
I don't do any cable. None of that stuff.
Isn't that funny?
Apple TV. I got Apple TV.
Yeah, that's what I have too. Yeah.
For the 12 minutes a week, I watch TV.
I'm just going to sit here quiet because people go, what's his name says, please no Lee for HMR.
I see that.
I shall sit here quiet.
We do have Steve Blechman in the comments. I noticed there's a Steve.
Where do you
Blechman
see the comments, Dave? I don't even know.
I don't see it.
It's on the YouTube channel. You got to watch it. I can see it. You can't see them on. But if you open a browser and you can watch it on your computer. But,
okay.
I read the good ones though.
That's too technical.
The comments are blocking Lee. So I made the big announcement.
Let's talk about
it because a lot of people have been asking me about that. And I want to just first of all, I want to send a really heartfelt thank you to everyone out there who sent me text messages, emails, and all the comments on the video that were encouraging. And it's funny, it's crazy how many people know doctors that are cancer doctors and thyroid doctors and all over Florida. I got so many people reaching out to me. It was incredible. So, thank you for that.
One comment I want to make in that area is that the present company included, we should not have to find out about this stuff on Facebook.
Yeah, what it is. If I had cancer, I would tell her, but I don't know anything right now. What happened was I went for a routine scan of my heart because I have like an enlarged aorta. I think I told the story. And there was, I guess, when it came back, they kind of check your whole area here. They said I had it showed a nodule on my thyroid gland. So, people get nodules I get nodules and little cysts and this and that all the time. But I follow everything up because I'm a nutcase because I don't believe in coincidences. It was just weird that it popped up. So I had my friend, the cardiologist, send me for an ultrasound of the thyroid. And I knew that I was doomed. Once the woman scanning me, she's like, oh, I see. Don't worry. People have thyroid nodules all the time. I scan them. Usually there's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong. Don't worry about them. So she scans me and then I'm like, oh, well, what do you think? She's like, oh, I can't tell you. I can tell. She had this terrible look in her face. I'm like, oh, great. That's it. So literally, by the time I drove back to my house, the ultrasound had been read already, which means that she must have given it right to the radiologist and said, "Look, what do you think of this?" You know, so they rate these nodules on your thyroid 1 to 5, and mine was rated a 5, highly suspicious. So I'm like, fuck. I'm like, all right, great. So I'm like, you know, now, and I showed it to a radiologist friend, and you know, my nodule's a little higher. It's grown. It's not like round. It's like a little longer than it is high, or higher than it is long or wide or whatever. That's not a good sign. So I said, all right, I got to get an appointment with an endocrinologist now, so they can then send me for a needle biopsy with liquid biopsy. I can't get an appointment. There's no freaking. There's like 2 endocrinologists in my area, and one guy is only doing telemedicine, which is, how the freak is that? He's not going to even feel my thyroid gland, and the other guy is not taking any patients. So we find this one person. They're like, okay, we're going to schedule you for April 28th. I'm like, April 28th? April 28th, that's like 3 months. I'm like, I could be dead by then. You know, like I could have metastasized if it was cancer, you know?
Right, sure.
I couldn't believe it. So I was so... What?
I was going to say, you're looking for these doctors and people to look at it. You got the guy right there, Greg Valentino. He'll come with a knife, go down your throat and cut it out.
You'll cut it out for me. Yeah.
Like he's done it before. He is skilled. He's skilled in this. He can do it. He's done it once before.
Eugene Mission's done a few surgeries on his throat too.
Well, that can be his assistant.
Yeah. So I say, all right, you know what? This is crazy. So I'm like, I'm ready to go crazy and do a rant. And then I remember, like, one of my best friends growing up. You know, I mean, we played soccer together. I mean, I know him from like kindergarten. We played Dungeons and Dragons together, video game. I mean, really, we were friends our whole life. And he went to medical school at Albert Einstein when I was at New York Medical College. I lived on the block right down the street from Bob Grushkin's. And I said, let me call him up. He's an endocrinologist. He's in Miami. I said, Lenny, I emailed him and I sent him the report. He said, send me get the disc, send me the disc. So I sent him the disc. He's like, yeah, it looks, because sometimes I guess they can make mistakes on the diagnosis. He's like, nah, it looks a little suspicious. You should needle biopsy. I said, I can't get an appointment with an endocrinologist around here. He's like, just come to my office. He actually does his own. Most of the time they send you to a radiologist to do it. He does his own. So I'm going Wednesday to Miami, and he's going to needle biopsy it. And he's like, we'll go out to dinner after. My son's in college now. It's funny. We're the exact same age. His son's in college. My kids are like
diapers.
Yeah, they're in diapers. Yes.
You're just starting his college fund.
Yeah. But,
well, so when will you know? Like right away or what?
No, so I don't know. Then they got to send it off, I guess, and then if it comes back as any kind of like cancer or anything like that, then I guess they're going to want to take it out. Now he actually found another nodule just in the CD I sent him with all the images on it. He found a very small one in the other lobe that didn't look suspicious, but they didn't even notate it. Can you believe they didn't even notate it?
So I mean, as far as
two nodules.
As far as cancer goes,
this is easy.
Thyroid it's a pretty curable one, you know. Yeah. But no one wants to get any cancer, obviously.
No. So if they hack out your thyroid, you got to take Cytomel for the rest of your life?
Yeah, whatever. Synthroid, I guess they have to put you on replacement. It would suck. It's funny because I have a great metabolism too.
So you're getting the needle biopsy on Wednesday. So if we watch YouTube on Friday, we should know the results.
I don't know.
Are you going to?
I hope he lets me. I really want to, because everyone's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." I'm like, "Look, I've stuck needles in myself before, not in my neck, but I mean, I guess they nail you like 5 or 6 times. They do it under guided like ultrasound, and they stick the needle in there and they pop it." And I asked him, I said, am I going to be able to drive home, or do I have to have a ride? He goes, "No." He goes, I use a small gauge needle, unlike some of these guys. I use a 23 gauge needle. I'm like, that's not so small, but I guess some of these other guys, use like a 18 gauge or a 16 gauge, that's pretty big.
You got to film it. I mean, you film my gyno surgery.
I know. I hope he lets me. I have every intention to film
Good.
it.
All right.
People love to see crap like that.
Oh, I know. They especially love the way you made fun of me while I was unconscious.
Yeah, I had a running comment. Only Dr. Blau would let me get in there like so close with a freaking camera while he's actually doing surgery on you. John was snoring like up a storm, so you probably had the best sleep of your life.
That was pretty good, yeah. I love being under. I love that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
When they start pushing it in and you're backwards and black. I love that.
I hate operate. Yeah, it's the best part when they put you in the operating room. You're laying there and they say start counting, and you go out. Then you wake up in the recovery room. You're like, best sleep ever. Let's do it again.
Yeah, except
but it didn't work. It didn't work for Michael Jackson in the end, though, did it? He took a bit too much of that propofol or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. He did. So what's is that why you're so shredded? You have a tumor on your thyroid? Is that?
No, you know what the funny thing is, it's not. I don't think it's not hormone producing because all my levels are normal. They've always have been, you know. And that's the funny thing is I have no, you know. Luckily, I have no symptoms of it or anything like that.
So if you hadn't had this is not a normal. Even if you get a physical once a year, they don't scan your thyroid. I mean, how are you supposed to know this shit?
You know, that's the scary part, John. It's like divine providence that I just happened to get this thing, that they happened to catch it. You know, someone's watching over me up there. That's the only I can think of. I mean, it's crazy though, if you think about it, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, it was otherwise. How would you have? How does anybody detect that? I mean, what
my friend had it. He felt his thyroid gland had nodules sticking out of it. That's how he found out. My friend Greg Tembeck had thyroid cancer. But when it gets to that,
like? You know, what's a nodule feel like?
If you get one, you'll know. Big SHEP ALSTON passes.
Yeah, man, that's
terrible, man. Terrible news.
He was so cool.
Remember that Bros vs. Pros?
Yeah,
he was badass.
Yeah.
Him and Sean Allen, you know, probably the two biggest mouthpieces I know.
That guy's strong though, like crazy strong.
I have to thank my wife, by the way. Amanda's actually in the chat. She reminded me. She's it's all her. It's all thanks to her actually that they found the thyroid nodule.
Why?
It's a very long, convoluted. You want to hear my whole story of my whole. It goes back to India in 2000 and what was it? 2012 when I went there. We'll get back to ALSTON in a second. All right. So 2012, I go to India. All right. I go to this place and I want to buy like something, a remembrance, you know, there. And, you know, India's got all these interesting gods, right? The god of this, the god of that. So I don't want the typical. I want the god that no one has, which is Vishnu, right? Which a lot of people think is the god of death. But he's really not. And the guy explained to me, Vishnu is the god of change. And that's, you know, people confuse that. He's not the god of death. He's the god of change. And so I got this picture and I had hung it in my house. I bought this picture. An hour later, when I got back to the gym, when I got back to the hotel, I went to the gym there, and I worked out, and I went upstairs and washed my hands. When I was walking down the spiral staircase, I guess they had just washed it or it was wet. I slipped. I caught myself from falling down, 100 steps, and I tore my quad, if you remember.
I remember that.
Tore my quad, and I left India. I flew back the next morning, and the Monday morning I had surgery. I got my quad repaired. 3 months later, I realized it wasn't really repaired. It had re-ruptured somehow. I don't know how. I had it fixed again, and after I had it fixed again, I was at a show or something like that. I don't remember. And Amanda, my wife, who's a physical therapist, called me to see how I was doing. And I think she was going to be at the Tampa show. And I was like a retard. I wasn't like, I was traveling, with the torn quad,
Yeah, how did that feel, flying from India with a torn quad sitting down?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't bad because after I tore it didn't hurt anymore. It was after it was reattached that it hurt a lot. So I come back. So anyway, she winds up meeting me in Tampa. And that's when we actually connected and became, you know, and started dating after that. So if it wasn't for my quad tear, I probably would have never met her. Flash forward to about 2 or 3 years later, she's like, we should start riding bikes together, you know, just to do something different. So she talked me into getting a bike. And like you used to do with Max, we used to ride the bike path at Jones Beach there.
Right.
Remember, John?
Yeah, yeah.
And she, while I was riding one day, I noticed that my heart rate, because I would wear a heart rate monitor, was going from 150 beats a minute, which is what I was riding at. That was like my, you know, my heart rate. And it would all of a sudden jump to 250.
250?
Yeah, and I wouldn't feel anything different other than see the number, which scared the crap out of me. And of course, I'd start going into panic. And usually then it would come back down. One day it went up there and it was staying there for quite a while. And I wanted to get off the bike. I'm like, if I get off the bike, because I didn't know I thought I was gonna have a heart attack and die. You know, at this point, I didn't know what was going on. I knew that, and that
feel the pulse beating.
I couldn't feel because I was so fast anyway. My heart rate. I just noticed that the heart rate monitor
was fucked up.
This monitor was perfect. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, and then it would come back down. It was so. Turns out, to make a long story short, I found I had an arrhythmia. Ooh. And actually, it even it's more crazy even than that, because we were riding, her and I, one day, and we had just found out she was pregnant, and we're riding and someone cuts her off and she falls and has an accident, breaks her ankle. Oh, fuck. The day we found out, so she has to go to the ambulance comes. We got to go to the Nassau County Medical Center. They got to. And she's freaking out, obviously, because she's pregnant. She doesn't want to get anything. Turns out she has to get an operation. They have to repair her ankle. She does no anesthesia, like almost like she's awake. She's hardcore, no pain meds, nothing.
Oh my God!
Yeah. Unfortunately, 8 weeks later, she winds up losing the baby. You know, we find out the baby has no heart rate. That was when she had the miscarriage the first time. So we're driving home from from them telling her that there's no heart rate. She's got to take these pills, whatever, you know, to clean herself out. And all of a sudden I have a heart attack. I'm having a heart attack in the car.
You are?
Yes. I'm literally, my chest is like every symptom of a heart attack. I'm like, I got to pull over. I'm driving. I'm like, I'm going to pull over. You got to drive. I don't know I'm freaking out. I'm like out running around. I get out of the car. I'm walking. She's like, get in the car. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. She's like, get in the car. She drives me to the hospital. Emergency room. I go in. I remember what Blechman tells me. Tell them you're having a heart attack. They take you immediately. So I'm thinking, I really am having one. So I come in. I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. They're like, right into the room. They go right in. They hook me up to the EKG machine. I'm like, I'm having to give me something. I'm like freaking out. Now it's even worse, right?
Wait. You're leaving too much stuff out. Yeah. When was this? What year? When was this?
This was 2014, I think. Yeah.
2014, and you were on the bike, and then
no. This is afterwards. This is after. She
breaks the ankle. You're going to the hospital. She's got a broken ankle, and you're having a
no. There's just the ankle's repaired already, but then afterwards she lost the baby like a couple weeks later. I'm sorry.
You're coming home from the miscarriage, and so literally you're having a heart attack. Not you're having a heart attack.
Right, but I don't. But anyway, I get on the EKG machine, and they tell me you're not having a heart attack. I'm like, I'm having a heart attack. You're not having it. They gave me a Xanax, and all of a sudden I start calming down. I was having an anxiety attack, obviously,
because of the miscarriage.
Because of the miscarriage, right? Because
totally. You couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, it was 8 weeks later. She reminds me she was on crutches too at this point, driving me on crutches. She's driving with one foot, and so I'm in the hospital. You know. She's got these pills she's got to take, you know, supposedly that night we were supposed to do it. Of course, now they check me in because my heart rate is even though I'm not having a heart attack, I'm having an irregular heart rate. Okay. And I tell them the whole story about the heart rate jumping up and everything like that. And so now they think I have some kind of a blockage. He must have a blockage, and that's why he's got an irregular heart rate. And so they transfer me the next day to St. Francis Hospital. I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to die here. This, you know, it's so, you know, it's crazy. The whole story is insane. So I go to St. Francis. They do an angiogram on me the next day. My heart I have no blockages, my vessels, zero. They're like, you have the perfect coronary arteries. They do a rhythm test on me where they actually inject you with like epinephrine to try to simulate a high heart rate to see if I have this. They can't simulate it. But so they say, look, we can't do, we advise we put a little loop monitor in you where we can monitor your heart remotely. It's like a little thing they put under the skin. And let's see what's happening. So I agreed to that because I know that I'm having these high heart rates. And they say, go back to whatever you do and do whatever you got to do. So I go the next day, I get home, I get the little loop monitor. I'm going to go for a ride. I take the bike out. I go for a bike ride. They call me back maybe like 20 minutes later. They're like, get in here. I'm like, what? They're like, you threw like a 280 or something like that heart rate. I didn't even see it registered on the heart rate monitor. They saw it, though.
Your heart like explode at that level? I mean,
nah, you know what it is? Because what it does is it goes into an arrhythmia for a few seconds, and then you don't. I didn't even feel it. I don't even feel it when it happens. So I went back in.
At what point does it just?
Well, yeah. If it goes into an arrhythmia and it can't pull itself out and reset its rhythm, then you die basically. I mean that's probably has happened to a lot of bodybuilders. That have had these. It could have happened to Rich Piana for all we know. So it's very common on like these guys die in basketball courts. They throw an arrhythmia and their body can't pull out of it. That's all there is to it. So they take me back. I go back to the hospital. They bring me in and they're like, look, they run a whole bunch. They do another rhythm test while I'm awake, which is not fun to have adrenaline injected into you because you feel like you're having a heart attack. Your heart is just beating out of your chest.
Wow.
And they say they can't simulate. They're like, but you definitely have an arrhythmia. They're like, and you know what? You can die from this. So they talk me into getting this. They give me the option. I obviously take it because of getting a what's it called? Defibrillator. I get my defibrillator in. And, now I'm unprotected, right? It's crazy. So flash forward now, I'm living in Florida, right? And I come and, I think I'm going to go get a cardiac CT scan of my heart to see how my blood vessels are doing, because I'm always giving advice to people, especially when people are dropping dead in our industry, get your heart checked, right? So I go for a cardiac CT to check my calcium score to see if I have any calcium deposits in there. And it comes back. My cardiologist calls me up. He's a friend of mine. He's like, Dave, vessels are clear as could be. Got no calcium, no blockages. He's like, but you have an enlarged aorta, which is the vessel that comes out of the left ventricle, that pumps the blood to the rest of your body. An aortic aneurysm. I'm like, what do you mean I have an when did this happen? I said, I don't even work out anymore. He said, at this point we have Logan already. We have kids already, I'm like, I don't even train. And he's like, that happens. It's genetic a lot of times, So every year now I go and I get my heart checked, because, they got to check now up on this aorta thing, right? So once a year I go and they do a cardiac CT scan, and they check my aorta size and everything like that. And then what he did this year, which he didn't do last year, was he actually did an ultrasound on my aortic valve to see if the valve is good still. Because sometimes when the aorta gets a little big, the valve could get damaged. Good news. Everything's great. As a matter of fact, your aorta somehow got smaller. We don't know. Oh, great. I feel good about this. I'm like, yes. I'm like, all right, I'm good. But there's a nodule on your thyroid. So anyway. So if I hadn't gone to India and torn my quad and bought that picture and asked for change in my life, I wouldn't have my wife, I wouldn't have my 3 kids, and I wouldn't have all my medical. I would never know about all my medical conditions. So,
Dave, you just gave the haters like hours worth of fodder for equating your steroid use and your impending heart attack.
Right. Moral of the story: get yourself checked out, because you know what? I could have missed the. Imagine if I had never decided I was going to cycle. If my wife hadn't talked me into cycling.
But I know that's sage advice. But what? There's no periodic standard physical exam for thyroid cancer. I mean,
John, it's like having a car that works perfectly fine and bring it in. You want to bring it into the mechanic. Even though it works totally fine, and he says, "Oh, it's fine," and then you want to bring it in again, and he says something's wrong with it. I mean, at what point are you supposed to go and say,
scan the whole
everything,
But think about it. Look, Chris had melanoma, right? I mean, he knew he had this like thing on him like for years. You know, this little whatever mole that looked a little weird. Never got it. Never went for a check. Like, never went for a skin check. You know, in Florida, you go for skin checks all the time because of the sun. Had he gone for a skin check, he probably would have caught that thing earlier, and they would have said, "Hey, you know what, Chris? This looks suspicious. Let's cut this thing off before it gets."
I was. It's the opposite. I was going to
really?
the doctor and saying I'm dying of something, and people are like, "Oh, you know."
But you had already right, but it had already gotten to the point. Imagine if you would have 10 years earlier got that thing taken off, it would have never turned into melanoma.
Nothing. For 10 cents, you could take it off for $100.
Yeah.
Imagine, right?
Yeah.
When people have moles and they don't take them off, they're like, well, the doctor said I don't need to take it off. Well, just it's $100. Take it off.
Right.
But I mean, everybody's got a mole. I mean, which ones? I mean,
I know.
You know, how do you
take them off, John? If you have any,
if you go to a dermatologist once a year, if you go to a dermatologist once a year, they know if it looks suspicious and they'll tell you take it off.
Valentino will take it off.
In my younger days, I had a few moles in my younger days. Don't you worry. I got rid of them. But I actually sent my heart scan stuff to Dave about a week or two ago with some old blood work in my heart. Do you remember? I sent to you to have a look at.
You were very good, yeah.
Well, that's because back in what year was it? In early 2000 when I had that cardiomyopathy from an infection. My story wasn't as long as Dave because I got cardiomyopathy. I went to the hospital. They did the tests right. I was dieting for the Ironman at the time. I think I was like 3 weeks out from the show. And they told me I had cardiomyopathy. It was only, the left ventricle was only working like 17%. And this other nurse came in and her exact words, Kathy was in there at the time with me. She goes, "You're going to die." I'm like, "What?"
Really?
The nurse told me
oh my God.
Yeah. Actually, Cindy Rinaldi, it was one of the hospitals in Santa Monica, Cindy Rinaldi, you know, the promoter.
She worked
lady.
there? Yeah, she was a nurse.
Yeah.
That's funny.
She worked there and she came in and saw me, but then this nurse told me I'm going to die. And then the same nurse comes back in about an hour later and she brought in one of those hospital meals with your bit of chicken and your crappy vegetables and a piece of chocolate cake. She goes, "Now you can have something to eat, but do not eat the chocolate cake because we've got to run more tests and the chocolate and the sugar and that will." So she leaves the room. You know what I do? I start eating the chocolate cake. She comes back in. The nurse comes back in and she flips. That's what exactly. She flips out at me. "I told you not to eat the chocolate cake. You got to get more tests." And I looked at her. I said, "You also told me I'm fucking dying. So if I'm going to die, I'm going to eat the fucking cake before I go." I said, "I've been dieting for 12 weeks. I said, I'm not dying eating chicken breasts. I'm going out eating cake."
So what was wrong with your heart?
Now you'll have. I just had that cardiomyopathy from an infection somehow.
Oh, you had an infection.
So every year from that point on, I always get it checked out. That's why I showed you. I think that was last year's test I showed you with my heart. You know, I just get it done every year. But on the treadmill, they put me on the treadmill to run. You know, you go on the incline. My shins would always hurt. I think it was listed on that thing I sent you. But now they lay me on this table. And it starts with B. And as you're laying there, they inject you with it. And you're talking to them. They're like, "So what are you doing today?" And you're like, "Well, I went to the thing." And then I went. It's like your heart just starts pounding that hard. And you can't get your breath, and then they bring you back down, and they check your heart, and then they inject some more, and your heart rate just starts pumping.
That's a rrhythm test they must give. Yeah, they're giving you a rhythm test. I just told you before. It's a very, very uncomfortable feeling when they do that.
Yeah, because you're not doing anything. You're just laying there, and everything just starts racing. You can't get your breath in. And
they're simulating you exercising by pumping adrenaline into you. Yeah, it's not fun. Usually you're asleep when they don't do it. Yeah.
You guys make me feel like
I'm awake because they talk.
Amanda said it's a nuclear medicine stress test they're giving you.
Nuclear medicine.
Yeah. It's a weird feeling though when you're awake and they're talking, then all of a sudden you can't. It's like what?
I went for a stress test once. Had to be like literally like maybe like 15 years ago, and I was like probably 285 pounds, and I wanted to make sure that I hadn't gone for any tests in probably my whole life at that point. So I go on this thing, and I'm walking. They start you walking on the treadmill, and then the thing gets faster and faster, and to the point where at some point now you start almost like running. Now. You think a 285-pound guy can't run, but I have that runner's mentality, from my running days, and I just say, okay, I'm just going to start I get into that like runner's high thing going on, and the machine is like, I'm so heavy, pounding on this machine. This machine, the guy is like, all right, test over. I'm like, I passed. He goes, you're going to break my $10,000 machine or whatever it was, $50,000 machine. I said, he goes, if you can run it that way, he goes, you're fine. He goes, get off the machine. So anyway, I beat the machine. Usually they tell you, you say, okay, I can't go anymore. The machine gave up first. So I felt good.
Mike Tyson had to get one of the treadmill companies to make him a custom treadmill because he ran so fast.
Oh, really?
Burned the other one out. It had to go 30 miles an hour or something like that. 25.
That's insane.
Yeah, because he sprinted so fast on the old one that he broke it.
That's impressive. It's very impressive.
Was a freak.
Yeah. Getting back to, but let's get back to Big Shep ALSTON because I want to tell a story about him. He was
a morbid show. I got to tell you.
Yeah, well,
cancer, deaths, and what is this?
I like the way it started off. That was good.
I can't. There was a lot of people who. A lot of people have reached out to me. I was shocked how many people have had thyroid problems and thyroid cancers and other cancers in our industry. People you wouldn't even know had them, and they had stuff removed. And I had a lot of inspiring stories that people sent me. So I'm grateful for that. Anyway, Big Shep Ali. I met Big Shep. We did a Bros vs. Pros at Diamond Gym, which is one of the most hardcore gyms you could ever go to. If any of you guys have ever been there. John Kemper is the one who originally started that gym. Now our good friend Dwayne McDaniels owns it. And we had the Bros vs. Pros there. And, they had a group of guys there that were the quintessential definition of what John and I originally intentioned Bros vs. Pros to be. Gym bros, guys that never competed in powerlifting, strength sport, nothing. They just competed every day they got to the gym. Right, John? That's what they did. You bench with these guys, you better be able to hang because these guys are benching, 500-600 pounds raw, no equipment and bullshit like that. They just did that for fun. So when we came there, Ali was one of the guys who was like doing the Bros versus Pros. We would do 225 for reps.
For rep, many as you could.
This guy did 60 reps. We allowed people to rest the weight on their chest if they want to, because how long can you do 25 reps, you put 225 on your chest. What's the odds you're going to be able to push out another rep?
Very low.
Very low. Big Shep, it was like he was resting 10 pounds on his chest, and that's how big his chest was.
Yeah.
He won that thing a few times. He was, and then he of course gave the greatest, speech of all time afterwards.
You have it on video, Dave. The speech.
I do. I got.
Put it up.
I have it on my Instagram. Let me see if I can find it on my Instagram.
Yeah, you got to play that.
People are asking Chris to talk in the comments. They say Chris is a hologram. He's sleeping. They want Chris to talk.
Well, I'm not dying like you guys.
Yeah, yeah, he has no good stories to tell. He already he died about 15 years ago. That was
I'm the one that's next. I'm older than all of you.
True. You're the healthiest one of all of us.
You make me feel like I'm living on borrowed time over here.
You go for routine tests.
The secret is pot. The secret is pot. That's what it is. That's what we should be doing. What John's doing. No stress, just sleep.
I do probably blood work two maybe twice a year, 3 times a year, and then once a year I got a physical. There's nothing ever wrong with me, so
that's great. Nothing wrong with that.
It makes me worry now. I got to check all my moles.
Yeah, but you have the longevity in your family, right?
I do. And I had a very good start in life. I had a very healthy upbringing. You know, my childhood from day one, I was well fed and nourished. And
well, I thought you were fat though, weren't you fat?
Well, yeah. Well, that's just I was overnourished. Let's say about that. But I mean, I had all the food I ate came from a garden or it was natural or I had a very good start.
With these glasses on, I look like that guy from the cartoon movie Up.
You look like a lot of guys.
Hello? Hello?
Let me see if I can do this thing.
What's that? Who was that gay movie reviewer that used to wear sort of silly glasses like this?
Hold on. Let's see if I can get this thing to play.
Oh, look at Dave there.
Can you guys hear? You can hear the audio?
No.
No? I wonder why I can't get the audio.
We always have technical difficulties with this.
Nah, that's just look. I'm a one man show here. I'm doing
we're just
talking, the producing, all this stuff. Let me see. Let me see what the Chris will love this.
Share audio.
You see a share audio somewhere?
I don't know. Is it near your microphone button down there, the speaker button?
Yeah, I'll look.
Let me try my cursor over it, and I'll click on it for you.
Yeah, share your screen.
Usually it does. Hold on, let's see this. Search with your video. No.
I think it's near the myostatin. Check the myostatin.
That's funny.
John doesn't recognize it.
Has anyone reached out to Blecky? Is he gonna come on the show? Are we gonna interview him?
He'll never come on the show.
He's probably excited to be on the show.
I'm here, John.
Totally invited him.
I'm here to apologize, John, for not paying you and kicking you out of the family.
He paid John. He just kicked us out of the family.
I'm sorry, John. It's late at night here. At least going to do my hair properly. I've had a big night reading the AMA journals on the vaccine.
Like Austin Powers. Doesn't he? He look like Austin Powers movie.
Listen. Portia wanted me to dye my hair black for my talk show next week. Welcome to the Ellen Show. It's the new look. On today's Ellen, it's my new look. I'm going black. It's beautiful.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez. It's even better.
You remember when you would ask Black? You remember when you would ask Blechman a question you didn't want to answer? John, what would he say?
My favorite. Yeah.
Steve, you owe Victor $60,000. I think you really should pay him. What would he say?
Yeah, did you see in the journal this morning? Proctology. Yeah, there was the prostate is now considered like an onion, and it comes. They take layers. It's layers, and they got to get to the core. Yeah.
It's the cutbacks. I'm working on the cutbacks. I got to get rid of a few of you people. Cutbacks, John. Cutbacks.
Why cutback? Why? Yeah. Why cutback?
Working on the biceps.
Yeah, muscle damage. Got to get some damage.
Muscle damage. Look at me. I'm damaged. Think my mustache has cancer. I won't stay on. Like my mustache is going chemo.
You know what's really funny is that's really what it looked like.
I know. I saw that and I thought that would bring back the frosted memories.
Chris, you remember those days? You were tight with Twin Lab back then when Blechman was frosted his mustache.
I told Dave he looked like Doug Henning.
Doug Henning, yeah.
He had long hair, and he had frosted hair.
Yes.
And he had makeup.
Yes.
First man I ever saw wear makeup.
Yeah, and the tanning, the what did he had the tube of Retin A. He put Retin A on the time.
In those days, it was just pure foundation.
Yeah.
I think it was like a MAC. I couldn't
figure it out because I never saw him wear makeup before either. I couldn't figure this shit out. And I used this phone one day. When I looked at the phone, the earpiece had all this fucking crud on it. It looked like he dipped it in onion dip. Now,
don't tell stories like that.
What is that? And it turned out it was all the cream, that he had putting on with the epithelial cells on the phone would just, gather in the earpiece, and that's what that was from. You both
said if I gave you a lifetime supply of nitro fuel, you wouldn't tell that story. Come on, guys. No more nitro fuel. You get none. No more L-carnitine.
Is this going to work now?
I don't think so. I don't know. It usually asks me if I want to share the audio. I can't figure out why it's not asking.
Yeah, you get Tyler to do it with you next time. Write it down so you get notes.
Which way looks better? Let's have a look as I turn it. I can be whoever I want to be. Look at me. I'm one of the Three Stooges now.
While I'm trying to figure this out, I want to ask Chris's opinion on Big Ram. I want to ask Steve's opinion too on Big Rammy. Look at this picture of Big Rammy that he put on his Instagram.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what about it?
That's retarded.
What do you think of Rammy's
around? I want to see the glutes. Woo! Show me the glutes. Turn around.
It's about genetics, right? Isn't that what Steve said? It's about genetics.
Aren't they?
It's all genetics.
Look at that myostatin in his pants.
Can anyone beat Big Rammy next year, Chris? If he progresses from where we see him now,
be remarkably difficult because he's just too round for. I mean, he's Phil was downsized, but if you actually look at pictures of Phil, he's still freaky round. Yeah. And to me, he looked like a flower next to Rammy at certain parts of prejudging. Not that he didn't have the, it's funny. I still don't think Rammy has like Phil's quality, and Phil didn't have the typical quality that he had in the past. But in terms of like wow factor, Ramy's legs smoke Phil's, and Phil's got good legs. They're not nice looking legs, but they're they're
separated.
Yeah. Well, they're big, and
I'll separate them.
And Rammy's front double is dominant over Phil.
Gonna sign him to a contract. Gonna be like making love to a camel. Woo!
Yeah, if it was back in the day, Steve would have loved to try to get Rammy on the contract.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? He would have
sold the farm for that one, right?
He would have cashed in his entire inheritance to get him. Yeah,
I would have sold my son. Would have sold everything.
Sold them all. Oh no, that's a recent. That's a pick from like yesterday.
I think it's recent. Yeah.
So that's the condition he's in now. This time of year.
No. That's from my lounge room, John. My lounge room yesterday.
Well, no. Dave says yes. Chris says no.
Dave, you think that's like he looks like that today?
No, not today. But I think it was probably right after the Olympia. I would assume, right?
Yeah, which is not yesterday or the day before, the week before.
Yeah. Something like
Rammy says he's going to be at Dennis James's show. I'm looking forward to coming back to see all my friends and fans in Germany.
He's going to be there in the audience.
I'm looking forward to welcoming both Mr. and Mrs. Olympia and Miss Olympia as our special guests to the Frankfurt, Germany, October 30th. So Dennis must be inviting, I guess, Andrea Shaw and Big Rammy to make an appearance there. Okay. Dennis is smart. Isn't Dennis smart? He holds it. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to fight all these people in the U.S. and hold a show there. I'm going to hold a show in Germany, where I know everyone.
Mm-hmm.
That's ingenious, you know. So smart. He'll probably make double the money there too.
Yep. Although Florida wasn't bad. I mean, for as far as holding an event goes.
They want to hold the Olympics in Florida now. I mean, I don't know. Chris, do you think these shows are going to happen this year?
They'll happen in Florida.
Yeah, Florida's the only place to feasibly do it.
I mean, Europe shuts down at the blink of an eye. I mean, I can't even imagine that these shows, although this is in October, I think we're going to see a lot of changes of shows, cancellations, and that kind of stuff.
Can you imagine being a promoter right now and trying to balance? You got to plan 8, 10, 12 months into the future. And you got to wonder, during the course of this year, is it going to be lockdown, not lockdown? Are they going to be able to train? Are the gyms going to be open? Or people, am I going to have to refund entry fees? What a bunch of extra headaches a promoter's got to deal with. You don't even know. You don't even know if you have a show in June. Am I going to even be able to have it?
Well, what do you think, Chris? Will we have shows this year?
Yeah, we'll have shows, and some shows will be canceled, and they're canceling shows already in Europe.
I know. You sent me that. You sent me the Middle East shows, right?
The Middle East shows, some have been canceled. The muscle contest show, wherever it was going to be in like 11 weeks. 10 days ago they said they were going to have it, and then just last week they said no show. I don't know what it was going to be, but it was a 212 Pro show because I was prepping someone for it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it all boils down to, for some people, unless you're like in a state of Florida, I mean, you got to think of liability too, right? I've always said that. Everything boils down to liability. Promoted bodybuilding shows is a business. And, you have a show and something bad comes out of it, you could be held liable if you don't go through step, 1 through 20, whatever those steps are. Because if someone gets sick, the lawyer shows up with the insurance company and they say, "Hey, John Romano, Chris Aceto, you had a show. Yeah. Did people sign waivers? Did you give out masks to everyone? Did people have, hand wipes and alcohol wipes and all those things?" It's something to think about for promoters.
It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, it's not something to think about, John. You're right. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. And not only that, but for the promoters, the athletes as well, how do you plan on when you're going to compete when you have no idea if in 8 weeks or 10 weeks or 12 weeks or 26 weeks my show's going to be canceled?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's a waste of money, a waste of time, a waste of resources. And there's no way of knowing. There's no way to forecast this thing to know, is things opening back up? They close them back down. They, like Lee said, they close them back down in a heartbeat. So I don't know, man.
There's not going to be any shows in Australia, that's for sure. No pro shows.
And another thing, you get guys who do multiple shows during the year. That's their business. They promote shows.
Yeah.
They have a staff. They have an office. They have contracts. They have insurance. They have all kinds of things they have to pay to keep the ball rolling so that they can put these shows out several different times a year. How do you even begin to determine what are you going to do tomorrow? When you don't know what you're going to be able to do in 3 months. It's got to be incredibly frustrating.
Yes, John. This is Nasser El Sombati, and I will hold my show in. I was going to hold it in the Egyptian pyramids, but they were trying to rip me off. So I have moved it to Israel, where they have 75% vaccinations already, and I will hold it there. And they say they will give me a good deal, and I will be able to pack the arena in. And I am sick of all this COVID talk, and I think it is. I agree with you. It is a conspiracy, and I will, but I will get my vaccination anyway because they will give it to me for free in Israel, and I will charge double the gate for the prices to watch the show, and I will make money on my show because I believe that. This is they were trying to rob us of our ability to to make a living, and I will not allow this. Yes, I have lost some weight, and no, I do not have thyroid cancer like the Palumbo acromegalian has it, probably from the growth hormone he has taken. Do you have any questions, Steve Blechman, to ask me? I do know that you want to give me a contract. No comments. Oh, there you are. Yes. I don't discriminate against Jewish men at all. If you want to be a homosexual, I have no problem with this, but I will not bend over for you or anything, but you will definitely pay me, or I will have to show up at your house and I will collect my money.
Well, I'm not Jewish. I'm not Jewish. I'm German.
Lee, I mean, Steve, I don't know if you realize, but I do speak German. I hope you're not kidding with me. I can validate that Dennis James and I have had words together. We have spoken.
I love you, NASA. I love your glutes. Beautiful glutes, NASA. I wanted to give you a contract, but Romano said no. He said, no, don't sign him. Blame John. I blame John for everything that went wrong. Everything that went wrong at the magazine, I blame John. That's why I got rid of him. And I'm not apologizing. I never apologize.
Steve, I believe that because I know John Romano has almost killed Paul Dillette one year, and when he injected him with Lasix, I was in the bathroom when they did that, and I believe that he injected him in his eyeball, and that is why when Paul was cramping on the stage, and I said, remove him from the stage. Hurry.
He never believed. He never believed once. He never believed once my myostatin reports. He never believed them. I'd tell him the mitochondrial fluids that go up through my arterial veins would bring in the myostatins, and he wouldn't believe it. I said, it goes through the artillery thyroid gland, John. He goes, no, it's not, Steve. I say, yes, it is, John. And he said, no, it's not, Steve. And I said, John, you're fired. That's what I told him, and I'm not apologizing.
I was accused of using myostatin inhibitors back in my day. You know, Chris, you know this for a fact. Milos has accused me of this, and I have told him he says I have.
Look, NASA, hundreds of years of studies from the AMA, NRA, C3PO, R2D2 journals. I've got them all. I've read them all. I'm still reading them. Elise says, what are you doing in the toilet? I say, don't worry, I'm reading. Gonna show that John Romano, who I fired because he didn't believe the studies. You can't deny the studies, John. I'll never apologize.
Lee, I hope you understand that you have never beaten me on the stage, and so I don't appreciate when you insinuate that you could have beaten me, because you know I consider you my little brother, but you will not beat me on the stage because
it was the politics. It was the politics.
Delirious today. Anyway,
we shared wonderful moments, Nasser and I, backstage.
Yes, I know. People want to hear about it.
Yeah.
All my reports have gone everywhere. I got reports everywhere.
Oh my god. Anyway, I got to get back to Big Shep. Yeah. What were you saying, Lee?
I just said Steve's never going to come on now.
No, you blew it for us again.
Imagine if he did, he'd ruin us all because we.
He'd be great. He told a great story. I actually watched his interview with Ron Harris, and he told a really good story. He told the story about Twin Lab, when they came out with Twin Lab was advertising in the Weider magazines, and they were spending $1 million, I think, a year with Weider. And Weider I guess the Weider got some new person in charge over there, and they got this brilliant idea that, hey, we won't let Twin Lab advertise in the Weider magazines because we don't want them, taking business away from us. So the Blechmans, Twin Labs, sued Weider like infringing on their ability, to earn a living, so to speak. And by the time the case came to, I guess, be tried, Twin Lab had already their revenue had doubled or tripled by then. So
they made money.
The judge threw the case out. He's like, "What are you suing for? What damages? You're making more money than you were when you first filed the lawsuit."
What Weider used to do is that Twin Lab would pay all this money for promotion, for sponsorship, and then on the stage, you know how they'd have all the names of this company. They would airbrush out Twin Lab.
Oh, like in the pictures and stuff like that. He does, but Blechman does the same thing. He airbrushes you and I out of everything now. So what's the difference? The funny thing is that after a couple of years passed, the Weiders took the Twin Lab ads back into the magazine again after the lawsuit was dismissed. I wouldn't even have given Weider 3 cents if I were Blechman at that point, right? I mean, I'm shocked that they actually even wanted to go back in the magazines after that.
Clearly, they didn't need to. But
no. They probably just did it because Steve was such a fan of the Weider magazines,
Well, Steve wanted to be Joe, so
Yeah.
What better way to side up to him than give him money?
Look at me, John. Look at me, John. I am Joe. Look at me. I am Joe.
If you turn the mustache over,
they could have. Think about it. Steve could have bought the Olympia. He had the opportunity.
Steve could. He definitely could have. He could have bought Flex magazine.
Well, the Flex magazine would have been a waste because no one's reading magazines nowadays.
Well, but then he could have bought it. Then when Becker bought it, he could have bought it.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the money. He didn't have the money Pekka had.
He would have paid too much for it back then, don't you think, Chris?
He wanted $4.
He didn't have that type of money.
No.
He had the money to buy the Olympia, though. I think.
Well, that's different than buying Flex magazine. I mean, the Olympia was. I mean, I don't know what it eventually sold for, but at one point it was not that expensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Didn't you have some kind of involvement with it?
Somebody I knew wanted to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the asking price at that point?
10, 13, I can't remember.
I think it was
13 million?
I can't remember, Dave. I can't remember.
It was 12.
Because I don't want to get was that what it was?
I seem to remember the number 12 because when Pecker went to sign the deal at the Weider's office, Ben took the Olympia out of the deal. And they were looking for a 12 million adjustment, and Weider's didn't want to do it.
Wow!
Remember then they made a deal for half. They were going to keep half the Olympia.
Right. Yeah, they did keep it. They did keep half of it. Yeah.
Right.
Sell you half a house.
At some point, I guess AMI. At some point, AMI must have bought the other half back from Eric Weider, right?
Yes.
So,
Eric Weider that guy just doesn't like bodybuilding, I guess.
No.
Yeah.
Hated it. He hated it.
Apparently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he just inherited it. It's a nice inheritance, though. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I wish I inherited a business I hated as much as that.
Did he just like the money?
Right. That's the question, right? Is he just like
hated the bodybuilding?
Think about it. Don't you wish you inherited such a business that you hated so much that was worth that much?
I'd like to have inherited anything, Dave.
Yeah,
I would too. Only one inheritance I. But I heard from two reliable sources that when they settled Ben's estate, that he had $1 billion.
I've heard that too.
I remember that. We got in trouble because we said it, right?
We said it, but he had $1 billion.
Trouble, Dave.
John and I were saying, if this guy had $1 billion in the bank, why didn't he create some kind of like a health insurance fund for the pro bodybuilders? And I think Robin Chang got mad at us, didn't he?
Everybody got mad at us. Anything got mad at us. Everybody got mad at us.
Like we can't speculate. Why? $1 billion? It's not $1 million. It's $1 billion.
Billion.
Yeah, but where's the B come from? Where's the billion come from?
From all the sanction fees from all the countries that belong to the IFBB, probably. I'm sure.
Probably, and all this buying and selling, Napoleon artifacts or whatever it is. But look, even if it was 100 million.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's dumb it down to like.
Even if it was tens of millions, the guy's dead. Okay, can't you bequeath some form of that to ensure the health of the people that helped you acquire all that money?
What would a health fund cost? 10 million, maybe.
Not even.
Not even. But I'm saying if you put 10 million in a bank account and said, all right, this is going to fund the bodybuilding health fund, for health insurance for the bodybuilders, and if you made some good investments on that money, in the stock market, it would fund itself for the next 100 years.
Let's not even include. Let's not include any health fund and just think about like compensation, prize money.
Sure.
I mean, forget why give?
Yeah, but he doesn't have to pay prize money. That's the promoter's job. I'm talking about looking out for the welfare of the athletes so that while they're competing, they can have health insurance and they can get their heart scanned and they can get their blood work done and stuff like that. That's something that would have been, something that he could have given back. Like that would have been something he could have called the Ben Weider's health insurance fund.
In his defense, Ben and Joe thought people were taking like HRT. I'm dead serious.
No, they didn't. That's not true.
Joe was very naive.
No,
really?
No,
yes, he was.
I was there. I was at the office. There was a shelf we're outside of Joe's office, and there's a pack of I think they were Sustenons or Stens. They were all packed, rubber band together with a piece of paper and said "For Bertil."
What year was that?
Was that
mid-80s?
Mid-80s.
Was there a lot?
How did you get up to Joe's office?
Dean Tornabin.
Yeah, Dean used to go up there all the time.
Yeah.
Why was Dean up there all the time?
There was a packet.
Dean Tornabin was up there all the time.
Explain who Dean Tornabin was.
Dean Tornabin was like a 4'8" pro bodybuilder with a good physique.
Hey, nothing wrong.
Well, that's how. I mean, that's. I mean, what was interesting about Dean Tornabin is that he was remarkably short, but he didn't have a short-looking physique, right?
No, he didn't.
He was a really good bodybuilder, and he was ahead of his time in terms of condition, and he was really very, very knowledable bodybuilding.
Intelligent man, and he made $1 billion too. That guy.
Yeah, that's right. How did he make his money? He used to drive some crazy.
He had some kind of he had a diet thing, and then he had.
Well, what was his real connection? Because John, almost any time I was there, Dean was like coming
always
to
at Golds.
Yeah, well,
always at Golds.
He was always at Golds, and if he wasn't at Weider's office, he was at Golds.
He was at Golds. But I
always have a new car.
Go ahead.
No, you're right. I was just saying he's always had a new car at Golds. One day it'd be a brand new Dodge Viper, then it would be a Mercedes, then it would be something.
Oh, really? So he had a lot of money there. Okay.
He ended up with a lot of money, but he had a client that was like the originator of QVC or one of those home shopping networks. And he got his contraptions on the show, and
that's right.
He was at the right place at the right
time. Yeah, you're right, John. That's
right.
Well, he's like a Troy Zucolato. How did Troy make all that money? And
car washes.
Someone said,
"Oh, it was car washes."
Yeah. Didn't he have laundry? I thought he had laundromats too. Didn't he, like laundromat places and that?
I don't know if he had. I think he had 17 car washes, and then he went into the longevity clinics.
Yeah,
he's got a couple of those.
He was in there before anyone was doing those too.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, he was the first to market.
Yep, Troy. Because of that podcast I do with Richie, Fitness, Fame, and Fortune. We've been having all these guys on, and it's surprising. A lot of guys that you probably don't think about made a ton of freaking money in this business. Stacy Kaufman, who invented Protan.
I've interviewed him before.
Who ever heard of him? But the guy made millions off of bodybuilding.
He knew Bob Grushkin back in the day. Very well.
Stacy
from fitness.
Send me some Protan.
Fitness to Fortune.
guys.
You need to do one from fitness to the streets, and let's interview the ones that didn't quite make it.
Yeah, rags to riches. Fitness.
John, you need to do what's the name of the show, John? Fitness Fortune?
Fitness, Fame, and Fortune.
You need the Fitness, Fame, and Fortune 500 list.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah.
Fitness, fame, and unfortune. We'll do the
Someone
ones
saying you
that
should
almost
get
got there, but
you should get Tony Little on there.
Tony Little would be a good one too.
Oh, Tony Little. On the Gazelle. On the Gazelle. Hi.
I know him personally because I had some interactions with him, like with some companies back on Long Island, and he even said to me, he goes, Dave, because I know nothing about nutrition or anything. I'm just like an actor now. I'm just a complete motivator. That's all. He's like Mr. G now, you know.
Yeah.
He's like
he had a gimmick. He had a look. He had an attitude, and he's doing freaking Alamo car commercials now, going by on the fucking. He's made so much money.
How many stimulants?
A whole circle of guys. There was that Dean Tornabene, Jake. Remember Jake?
Jake from Steinfeld. Yeah.
Him. Dean. Troy. There was that guy Phil Goglia. There was a whole group.
Right, and who's the other guy? The other one from Body Shaping. What was his name? He was always there. Did pretty well too. Rick, what's his name?
Rick Valente.
No, he was on Body.
Rick Valente.
Yeah, Rick Valente. Yeah, he was always there with Phil and Phil Goglia and Dean and that. He was always there.
Tony Little told me this story. He went to wherever they were selling these things. They made these gazelles. He's like, look, they said, look, if you sell like 1,000 gazelles or something like that, okay, we're gonna give you a bonus or something like that. We're gonna give you like a $50,000 bonus. He's like, look, I want this Porsche or something like that. I think he wanted like this 911 Turbo or something like that. He goes, I'll sell 10,000 of these things for you or something like that. He's like, I want the Porsche. They're like, you sell 10,000, we'll buy you the Porsche. It might have been 50,000. It was a ridiculous number. They said, they figured he'd never do it. He goes, not only did I sell that many, I sold them in 2 hours. 2 hours he sold it. They were like flabbergasted, but they didn't care because he made them a fortune on those things.
Sure.
Because they didn't know if they were going to sell any of these things because it was such a weird. That fucking gazelle thing was such a weird, stupid toy. But he looked so comfortable on that thing, right?
Yeah.
With that stupid.
They looked fun.
Side on.
Yeah.
It's like this, and he's running. Have you got yours right now? Well, you get on it, and you can come down and get the fitness on. Yeah. It's like how many stimulants or cocaine did he take before those infomercials? That's what I want to know. He was wired.
He roped you in, though. I mean, he was definitely captivating as far as personality.
What he said was, he said, I know how to sell. He told me that's my. I could sell anything to anyone. He goes, I just know how to get people excited about that. And he was the first person who went on TV and started screaming like a maniac, right?
Yeah.
Him and Crazy Eddie.
I think he's what's his name's son. When you look at his hair there, that curly hair and the way he screamed and his voice, that's Richard Simmons' son.
His masculine son, very masculine son. Yeah.
But also during that period, that was the peak of the infomercial. That's when infomercials were starting to get big, and 800 number, credit card, call centers. That was all of those guys. That's where they made their money. Now those days are over.
John, do you remember Michael Thurman from Golds?
Who?
Michael Thurman from Golds.
Of course, yeah.
Tell me a Michael Thurman story.
I don't think I have one, but I don't know.
Who was that? I never heard that name.
But I don't know exactly who.
He was a guy who came into Golds one day when anyone could train anyone at that, right? Anyone doing this was even, I think, before Lee was there. And
Chrome Dome.
He came in and he started training like Beverly Hills housewives in there, which I thought it was remarkably intimidating for them to come like these heavy set, like crazy wealthy women. And he was charging them, Dave, like $500 an hour.
Oh, it's like a Mr. G guy.
Go ahead.
Was that the guy that looked like Richie Cunningham?
No, he was tall and bald. Well, kind of. He was bald.
I remember the Richie Cunningham guy.
Yeah, there was a guy that was tall and bald. Always had a towel around his neck.
Yes,
always wore tracksuit pants. And
that's
is that him? He was always there.
Yeah,
that's him.
Always.
Was that the Richie Cunningham guy? Because I remember seeing him the couple times I went there.
He would always spread the towel out for the girl.
So he would make like $2,500 an hour.
What?
Yeah, and he would. So he tried to get me involved with something at one point, like a spa, and I'm like, I was just not interested. And I thought he was like crazy. I thought he will never, ever. He might be able to like I don't want to use the word, I guess I will, con woman to come into Golds Gym for $500 an hour, whatever he got. But he'll never open up this crazy spa dream, for like $5,000 a minute down in like New Mexico, wherever he wanted to go. And I moved out to Maine. Dave, I'm dead serious. I turn on the TV and he's on like QVC.
Oh, no way.
With the Michael Thurman 6-week makeover. And it was on like morning, noon, and night. It was on all the time. And they used to show like how many people would buy, right? They used to show
yeah, of course.
And he'd have some program for like, $349, and it was all marketing, nothing this. And like he would sell thousands and thousands.
Yeah, there was.
And he would come on the show and he would cry, like kind of like Will Richard Simmons, for the ladies' weight loss and
He was always there with the women. We used to be surprised, even back then, because I guess the women's movement wasn't as big back then. But
that's right.
You ever seen when he'd be at the back? He'd be at the back stretching the ladies, and they'd have them on the floor, and they'd have one leg here. He'd have the other. He'd have the other leg over his shoulder, and his groin's in their and his groin's in their groin, and he's pushing it forward, and he's like this.
Dave, he's not kidding.
That's why they paid him $500 an hour.
Yeah,
I mean, he was right in there. I mean, he had the leg over the shoulder, and he's getting right in there.
In there, all the way in.
I remember this guy when I would come there. He was there all the time.
This guy made Harvey Weinstein look like a saint. This guy
Except these women liked it. That's the difference.
Well, what was funny was I remember I left Venice, and then I had been gone for like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years before I was able to come back. And I come back and I'm training at Golds, and I'm talking to Carl Liss, and there was Michael Thurman with the same blonde that he had been training every single day that I was there for 20 years. And I go, he looks exactly.
Was that old one?
Was
that old one? He trained some old blonde that had this real fake hair, and she had the biggest bolts on.
Boobs. I was going to ask you about it. What was her name?
She looked like an old leather. He'd have her on the Smith machine doing those silly leg press up on the Smith machine.
Her crotch hanging out.
Yeah.
What was her name? She was she was nice though. She was nice. I talked to her a couple times.
She was a sweetheart, but they're a very nice girl. But the story I'm saying is that she looked exactly the same. She looked the same from the first day we started training her. The whole 20 years I was there, and now I'm back 5 years later.
Right.
She's still there. She looks exactly the same. So I tell Carl, I go, she looks exactly the same. And Carl's answer was, imagine if she didn't train with him.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Sure.
Whatever happened to what's her name there that she used to be there every day. I think she trained with him that Annie Rowe, whatever her name was. Remember the old lady? Annie Rowe.
97 now if she's alive.
Yeah, people used to start people started calling her Granny Rowe because she'd been there that long and she got that old.
What about the girl who owned Joni's coffee roaster, Joni?
Oh, Joni, yeah, man.
She was in great shape too.
She was too. But that's still my all-time favorite breakfast.
That's my favorite coffee.
Everything.
Coffee.
Oh, you must have loved the coffee. They ground it up there, right?
They ground it up
right there.
Yeah, nobody did that back in the day.
Right. And that bread, that grain bread, they tear off in chunks and toast in the morning. God, it was so good.
There wasn't a meal there that wasn't fantastic. I never had a bad meal in that place. And they had 4,000 choices on the menu.
It's still there in Washington.
Yeah.
That strip center.
Don't forget near Max Muscle, you had Fresh to Go.
Yep.
Fresh.
Hold on, wasn't Leroy Colbert's store right next to Joni's coffee roaster? Leroy Colby. He had his own little. It was right there. It was a little like health food store.
Lee, how did Fresh to Go not make it?
They made it for years.
Yeah, but what happened?
They made it for a little while.
They changed
they were one of the first when they started bringing out those buffalo. What's his name would always eat there? Who was the actor in White Knights? He always used to come to the bodybuilding shows.
Gregory Hines.
Yeah, Gregory Hines.
Gregory Hines. He'd always eat there, and all those people would eat there. But they had like the buffalo little patties and stuff, and everyone used to go there. And I don't know.
They had
after a while,
ostrich too, right? Didn't they have ostrich patties?
She was the first person that offered, bodybuilder food to go, like out, that you could just go up there and get egg whites, chicken breast, fish, whatever. And it was really funny. She was a fat chick and she was making bodybuilders food.
Wasn't that next door to the Gary Stridham store?
Yeah, it was Gary's, and then it went to Max Muscle,
Yeah, the Max Muscle place was next.
But it was Gary's first, right? Wasn't it Stridham?
Yeah.
Gary,
it was. Yeah, crazy way. Then it went to the Max Muscle.
Was he making money there
and then
when Gary owned it?
I don't know. I think it might have just been a place for him to drive to from around the corner.
Yes.
Gary's whole life was like.
Yeah, in a block.
I wish I had that life. That's the greatest life of all time, right?
It was less than a mile. It wasn't. It wasn't even half a mile.
It was like half a block.
It was like 300 yards.
I go from home to breakfast, across the road, drive to the gym, drive to work, down to the store, and he'd go back around the block and back into his garage.
The factory was a little further away, wasn't it, John?
He got gas twice a year. That's
if you want to buy a car, buy a car off Gary, low mileage. He doesn't go far.
Right. V12 BMW to go, around the block.
Yeah, I love that car. I actually bought that car, years later, because I love that car so much. The 850.
850, yeah.
CI.
I had the same one.
Did you?
One.
I had that
a
97.
White one,
yeah, I had a black one. Yeah,
you can buy those now for $2,500.
They're great. They're awesome. They were brick. The problem was, I don't know if you noticed this, Lee. They were so heavy, those cars, that the brakes stopped on them. Yeah. It would almost not stop the car. It was like 5,000 pounds. This thing.
Well, it's not Gary wasn't going that fast, so he didn't have
they look great though. They look great.
They did. But it's funny now. You look at them now, you're like, oh, it doesn't look that good anymore. But back then, it was like, wow.
Back then,
it looked like a spaceship back then. Yeah. I mean, no one made a car like that in the 90s.
And the front window, and the back window both went down, so there's no collar in the middle column there. It was just one big. I was like, this is futuristic looking.
It looked like a spacecraft. I remember Titus had the cheaper one, the 840i CI. I think he had. He didn't have the. He had to get
the V12.
Yeah. I had the V12. He had the V8. Yeah. But it was still nice.
Was the way to go.
Yeah. It had a lot of horsepower, but it had no torque. That thing. Zero.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
it was nice.
Yeah, it was nice. I want to just once again, just for people who are asking, Dwayne McDaniels told me that big SHEP ALSTON when he did pass, I asked him how, because I figured I was going to hear a COVID story, or I was going to hear suicide, or I was going to hear something crazy like that. The guy went out and bought a truck, a new truck. He was so happy he got this new truck. Like 2 days later, he had an accident and crashed and died in the car. Yeah. Can you believe it? Terrible.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw him do a 600-pound bench in the gym, John. It was the worst form I had ever seen. He had no equipment on. It was a raw fucking blast off his chest bench. And it was ugly as hell, but he did it, man. And I couldn't believe it, because guys don't bench 600 pounds. You don't see guys putting 6 plates on each side and getting under a bench and doing that routinely every week, You
mean Pilecki's do reps with that?
Yeah, but this was a full rep down to his chest.
Didn't even go down that far.
Yeah. Unbelievable strength. So he'll be missed, obviously.
The The only guy I saw do that was when I was young. One of my training partners, big as a brick like that guy. He was from Tonga, from the islands. He would walk in 4 plates on a bench and just start with 4 plates. I'm just looking at him going, "How
Are you serious?
How you don't?" Yeah, it's like Samoan Tongan, just that real thick, just islander. He was probably just naturally 340 pounds naturally. It's just like walk in and just put 4 plates on like it was nothing. I'm thinking, I'll go back as your set, Lee. I go back to 1 plate to warm up, and then I'm slowly working up. I'm like, I ain't trying that. It's like how he didn't tear a pec, but I guess just tendons and shit are just naturally just strong as.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah.
Did you see they're working on the hit? I'll get back to Steve Blechman now because they have a new. Steve, did you read in the journal of? Let me see what journal this is in.
Which one?
Which one?
My hair's all messed. Is that the R&R journal? At least bring me into R&R CPQ journal. Dave's trying to ask me a trick question. Was it the one about flavonoids? The flavonoids going through your artillery system?
No,
I read all about the flavonoids going. Woohoo! Yeah, I read about that. I'm not taking that. Not taking that.
Now put that in gene therapy to delay aging. Have you seen this?
I'm not putting that in this temple. No, this is a temple. I've been working for 70 years on my temple, and I don't put that stuff in my diet. Oh, hold on, wait a minute. Let me read up a bit on this.
Increases lifespan 25% in mice.
45%. That's quite a bit.
25%.
Do those mice have myostatin receptors?
The gene is called the KAT7 gene, the CAT7 gene. And they've identified, they're working on the genes that they seem to extend the life of animals, and this CAT7 gene seems to work on activating stem cells. And
are they any different than my Prada genes? I want to know. My Prada genes are okay, but I'm not sure whether this is any different. I'll take it anyway. Look at me. The hair's falling out. I got my frosted mustache. I'm going to shit. I'm going to shit. I'll take anything right now you can give me. Haven't had a good steak meal and a shoulder rub for years. But I'm still not apologizing to that John. Never. He left me on the Aspen. He left me on the Aspen slopes. There we were, tobogganing down the hill again. Woo! I turn around, he's gone. Left me.
John.
Never apologizing. John, Chris is talking to you. No. Don't ignore Chris like you ignore me. He'll ignore me for too long and I fired you.
Chris texted me yesterday. He says, "You think we should? Maybe you shouldn't. Continue.
I said the karma's going to come back. You're going to have.
It's bad karma on you guys.
Look, you got the thyroid nodule.
Yeah, I got a thyroid nodule.
See, look how long it's been since I spoke to you, John. What, 10 years or more? And look, I've still got the checks on my desk. I'm not fucking signing them. Still got them here. The checks on my desk.
I don't doubt it. From what I hear in the industry,
they're still sitting here. Let me have a look. Pay John Romano $5,000, 1998. Dave Palumbo $6,000, 2001. Chris Accento, $5,000, 1994. Not signing them. Not accepting any. Not accepting any apologies.
No, Steve, where's my $5,000 check?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me check over here.
No, Romano had the best. No, Romano had the best answer. John had the best answer, right, John?
What was the answer?
John. If you ask Steve, "Where's my money?" He'll say like, "Oh, the weather tomorrow is supposed to be 83
Kai's
degrees."
Glutes are looking. You see the Kai's glutes in that latest, the latest.
I'm still looking. Hold on, Chris. I found it. I can still read it. You know what? Just for you, I'm going to sign it today. I'll sign it today and just sign it.
You'll send it out next week, though, right?
Steve Blechman.
Now you got to send it out.
At least I signed it. Look, I signed it, Steve Blechman. At least put this in the mail for Chris. I know it's been 15 years, but okay, I'll add a bit of interest. What's the interest rate?
Steve, please, will you send me my check? You have, I have to buy a new suit. Please, will you send me the check? I don't want to have to come there and
show us your glutes.
Knock on your door.
First, show us your glutes. Show us your
glutes.
Yes,
I will show the glutes.
I might show you something.
Yes, I will show the glutes. There's a great.
You get anything then?
Someone sent me a clip of Nasser actually. Mitsuru was following him around doing one of those, videos of him, and he came into the bathroom, and Nasser was like, changing after he got out of the shower, and Nasser's like, no, I have told you, no, we're not filming here, Mitz. Please go out to the shit. And Nasser's putting the towel on him, and he's like, rubbing all kinds of oil on his face and doing his hair. He had like 3 hairs on his head, and he's like doing his hair, and he's like, Mitz, I have told you, no, don't film in here, and Mitz is realized he knows that this is going to be the best footage of the whole video,
Well, remember the video that people keep putting up of when he walked in on Sean backstage, and Sean was putting the mascara on his eyelashes. Remember, and that keeps popping up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What's it say? You can never get rid of it.
I will mix an amino evolved because I've been paid by the acromegaly to promote this. I don't know if it works or not. I only eat French fries. I don't really know. But I have to wrap the show up. It is very late. I have to get up tomorrow, and
Thanks
I have to do my cardio.
Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for coming, everyone.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I just want to thank you for having me on. Thanks for having me on. It's good to see you.
Yes, thank you, Steve Blechman, for joining us today, and for apologizing to the crew.
I never apologize. Never apologize to John. Never.
Can you?
You should have believed me. The myostatins. Yeah, who's laughing now, big boy? Who's laughing now? Myostatins.
Did Blechman did he do the mustache wax?
No.
No, you never did the mustache wax. Remember Rusty Jeffers had the mustache wax?
Do I look like I did the mustache wax? I had some sort of wax. Did you see something about Mary? I had a bit of wax in my mustache. That was special wax. That's why it's frosted. That's why it's frosted.
Lee, this was one of your best shows.
I look like Sally Jesse Raphael's ugly brother. I don't know what I look like.
You do look like Sally.
Hey, wait a minute, John. Wait a minute, John. Can you go over there? John, and open Capone's safe? I look like Geraldo Rivera now. Open the safe.
Didn't Geraldo work out at Golds Venice, John?
No, I never saw him there. Did you?
Yes,
I thought
did.
he
Thank
did.
you.
No, maybe I'm wrong.
I never saw him.
I was there a couple of times. That's because you didn't recognize me, John.
No, I didn't.
I was hiding in Capone's safe.
His vault.
Yeah.
All right, let me wrap this up. It's only 2 a.m. here. We only have Australian people left on the show watching. Yeah. Guys, thank you for joining us. We want to send our condolences out to Big Shep, Ali, ALSTON's family. Man. And guys, thank you for all the support you gave me on my video I posted, and I'll keep you guys updated next week when I get the needle biopsy done on my thyroid. For now, as we say every week, remember, with Heavy Muscle Radio,
the truth hurts.
It sure does. Good night,
Never
everyone.
apologize.
Night,
Never apologize. Not apologizing. Never. At least, why'd you get me on this show? Hate these guys. Hate them. There goes our contracts.